Peace, and welcome to another episode of the Quranic Remedies, where we spend about 15 minutes exploring a page from the Quran together and seeing how we can apply the verses to our lives. And hopefully, with God's permission, it helps us heal our brain, body, mind, and soul. So today we'll be reading from chapter 3, the Family of Imran, from verses 181 to 186. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge to God from the accursed devil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. لقد سمع الله قول الذين قالوا إن الله فقير ونحن أغنياء. سنكتب ما قالوا وقتلهم الأنبياء بغير حق ونقول ذوقوا عذاب الحريق. God has heard the statement of those who said, God is poor and we are rich. We will write down what they said and their wrongful killing of the prophets, and we will say, taste the torment of the burning. ذلك بما قدمت أيديكم وأن الله ليس بظلام للعبيد. This is on account of what your hands have forwarded, and because God is not unjust towards the creatures. الذين قالوا إن الله عهد إلينا لا نؤمن لرسول حتى يأتينا بقربان تأكله النار. قل قد جاءكم رسل من قبل بالبينات وبالذي قلتم فلما قتلتموهم إن كنتم صادقين. Those who said God has made a covenant with us that we shall not believe in any messenger unless he brings us an offering to be consumed by fire. Say, messengers have come to you before me with proofs and with what you asked for, so why did you assassinate them if you are truthful? فإن كذبوك فقد كذب رسل من قبلك جاءوا بالبينات والزبر والكتاب المنير. If they accuse you of lying, messengers before you were accused of lying. They came with the proof, the Psalms, and the illuminating scripture. كل نفس ضائقة الموت وإنما توفون أجوركم يوم القيامة فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. Every soul will have a taste of death, and you will receive your recompense on the day of resurrection. Whoever swayed from the fire and admitted to paradise has won. The life of this world is merely enjoyment of delusion. لتبلون في أموالكم وأنفسكم ولتسمعن من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم ومن الذين أشركوا أذى كثيرا وإن تصبروا وتتقوا فإن ذلك من عزم الأمور. You will be tested through your possessions and your persons, and you will hear from those who received the scripture before you and from the idol worshippers or idolaters much abuse. But if you persevere and lead a righteous life, that indeed is a mark of great determination. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. God the Great said the truth. This is now a small shift to what God was addressing earlier. It's still connected to what we are talking about, which is the reliance of God, understanding the promise of God, and being able to give up on the worldly life. Now, this is talking about individuals and communities that have said that, yes, God is rich and we are poor, and these are statements that we actually hear on TV now. Not too long ago, the old American president said that the oil companies are richer than God. A statement like this is only filled with blasphemy. I understand that people like to translate these words as rich and poor, but in fact, in Arabic, ghani can mean rich, but it also means he's sufficient, that he is not requiring anything from you. While faqir is, yes, a person who's poor, but he's a needy person. He needs you. God is always the rich. God is always the sufficient. God is always free of who we are. And these individuals, because they believe that they have the power, that God needs them and they don't need God, because they are the chosen people. Yes, it does not talk about the children of Israel directly, but here God is talking about the wrongful killing of the prophets. The wrongful killings of the prophets, this is something that has been observed by the children of Israel. When God is talking about the people of the book, or the children of Israel specifically, he is also mentioning at times the killing of the prophets. Now, unfortunately, people tend to not realize that God has always said the wrongful killing of the prophets. So if you look at the language and the technicality before it, and this is something that allows you to get closer to God by understanding his dominant reasoning and his pure justice. There are some times where it is permissible for you to actually kill a prophet. If he committed murder in cold blood and he was trialed and it was shown that he has took a soul without a right, at that moment you have the right to kill a prophet. So that's why God is saying the wrongful killings of the prophet. It means that there are purposes or there are situations where a prophet was allowed to be killed. I'm not advocating for the killing of the prophets, nor am I advocating that what they did is right. What I'm trying to say is that God is fully, He's the most just God that we could ever understand. Even when it comes down to the closest people to Him, the law is the law and the rules are the rules, and the conditions that God has set are binding, even on the prophets. Now, God here is telling these individuals, these people that keep saying that they're sufficient or they're rich and they're no need of God and God needs them, that enjoy your life, because there's going to be a time where you're going to realize the punishment that you're going to taste for these words that you've said. Those words are going to be replayed in your head a few times, and you're going to realize how big and how wrong your words were, how blasphemous and how evil you were as an individual to even reach the level where you're thinking that you're better than God in any way, shape, or form. God is saying that because of this punishment, it is truly because of your own actions. It's because of what your hands put forth. God is not oppressive. He's not trying to oppress you. He's not setting you up in situations to oppress you. God is not setting you up to fail. God is giving you material for you so that you can either build yourself or hang yourself. You would be upset that if you realize that these opportunities that you got, you were able to build, but God didn't give them to you, is just because you would fail. And at that point, it's still not fair, because giving them to you gives you that ability, that choice for you to make that decision, whether it's going to lead you to heaven or going to lead you to hell. Just because you chose to go to hell with what God has given you does not mean that God has oppressed you. It means that you have oppressed yourself. And then God is telling us again that it is about the children of Israel, because now they're talking about a covenant. And notice that this is actually pertaining to what the Zionist state is talking about in the Middle East. They are waiting for their Messiah, who would be a messenger, who would make a sacrifice at the Holy Temple or the Temple Mount, which in return would catch on fire by itself. And here there was already a group of people telling the blessed Prophet Muhammad that they were not allowed to believe in a messenger until he makes a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is consumed by the fire, which is again what the Zionists are waiting in their Messiah. But notice what God is telling the messengers to say to these individuals. The man already came. It already occurred. You've already been given the proofs, and you've assassinated the people that you asked for. And unfortunately, when we see with the groups of believers, as much as you try to remind with the Quran, as much as you try to show them the truth, as much as you try to bring them back to the book of God, they deny you. And then they go as far as trying to persecute you and even assassinate you, and you're not even a prophet or a messenger. It's just they are truly hateful to the truth, and them being told that they're evil people, it just goes against their nature, and they want to prove that they're not evil by eliminating you, which goes against what they're trying to prove. But this is something that we could clearly see how the Quran is solving solutions and situations that we're living in this day and age. The Zionist state is oppressing everybody in the Middle East and everyone around them. It's just because they believe that they need to take the Temple Mount and for the Messiah to come to sacrifice, to offer a sacrifice in that new temple, or the temple that they want to build, for it to catch on fire by itself. And that's the biggest sign that that person is a Messiah. So they've been asking this from Messenger Muhammad for 1400 years ago. But they were already answered, and they were already given what they were looking for. But unfortunately, they denied it. And then God states that if they deny you, if they're already calling you a liar, they've called everything that came before them also a lie. The proofs that the messengers came, the prophets came, the Psalms that David was given, the scripture that Moses was given, and the prophets after Moses as well. They've denied it all. They've changed it. They've manipulated. They played with their religion so far that they are so detached from what God is actually telling them that they are now at a level where they would kill messengers and prophets. But it makes you wonder that these individuals, these people that also received this book from God, which is the Quran, after 1400 years, do we see very similar characteristics of what the children of Israel were showing? Can we realize that maybe some of the characteristics of children of Israel is in this community because the children of Israel also inherited the Quran? And therefore you could see that it's almost human nature for them to deny God after getting a clear proof that God is here with them. God is supporting them. God is forgiving them. God is forbearing. God is allowing them to carry on. But unfortunately, they keep denying their Lord, and they keep denying people who come trying to remind them of what's right. And only it seems like a few people end up believing, and then the majority is just choosing their disbelief. And some of them even become oppressive and aggressive, and they want to remove you because you are saying the truth. God is now reminding us again that we are going to taste death. This is a promise from God. This is not something that you would be able to escape. And on the day of resurrection, we are going to get what we earned, what we deserved. This is something that has been a prevalent theme in the Quran. Now, the true victory is for you to recognize the actions that move you away from the punishment of the fire. It's these choices and these thoughts and these decisions that you make that shield you from the punishment, because you could kind of taste a small punishment in your mind for the decisions that you make now. You cannot live in fear. You don't want to live in fear. You don't want to live in grievances. So you need to fix your thoughts so that you are able to manifest actions that push you away from the fire. And notice God gives you something that is extremely important to recognize on what truly pushes you away from the fire. To attach to your Lord, you want to go back to your Lord. That's why we say to God we belong, and to him we will return. So we came from God and the blessings and the grace of God. That's truly where our life starts. God is telling us that this world here is just enjoyments of delusions. It is just you wasting time, technically. Attaching to yourself to something that is a delusion, which is just peanuts or just ice that's going to melt, and you no longer have that ice cube that you really love, that is going to go away from your hands, and for you to be sad about it, well, you were told that it's going to leave. So why are you attaching yourself to something that you know is going to break? You know that it's going to die. You know it's going to be removed from you. So it is quite delusional for you to give up on the promise of God of a better world and try to say, well, no, I want it right now and I want to build now. And then as a result, you become deaf, dumb, and blind, because you are so deluded into this world that you fail to recognize that paradise is better than here. Paradise is better than what you have here. But yet you chose here. And that is the true way of losing your life and the hereafter. God is also telling us that we are going to be tested. And as he was showing us how he's testing us earlier in the battlefield, we're also going to be tested with our possessions and the people around us. And there's a verse here that I find that is extremely incredible. It's a verse that allows you to stay patient within yourself. And the verse is telling you here that you're going to hear from those who received the scripture before you and from idolaters much abuse. Notice how every time you start talking about God in a way that God has made it permissible, where you are not idolizing, where you are not quoting books outside of the Quran, where you are not sitting and adhering to the echo chamber, you start to hear a lot of words being flung at you from those who are sectarians, idolaters, and from people who received the book before you, whether it's Christians, Jews, Sunnis, or Shiites. So this verse is actually incredibly important for you to remember. They are going to abuse you. You're going to hear a lot of abuse from them. But God is telling you the answer, that if you're steadfast, if you're patient, if you persevere, and you lead a righteous mark, then that is truly the mark of determination. That is truly the way that you could see that is the best way for you to approach matters. Because any way you're going to try to deal with these oppressors and these abusers, you're going to realize that you're not going to change them. And you're just opening yourselves to more doors of abuse at that point, because you're trying to get down to either their level or trying to make them understand your perspective or try to change their mind. If they're going to get guided, then God is going to guide them. And the way that you want to achieve that is by you literally going out and doing what you need to do. This is the way that you actually call many people to the religion. Reading and understanding the religion is not practicing the religion. When you start to practice the religion, you need to realize that God is telling you to rely on your prayer and on being patient or steadfast or perseverance. Because perseverance and patience, it's required in this path as you come to God. Because you know it's the truth. And you've seen the love that you've received from God. And you want more love. And you're surprised that others don't see it. But you're going to get kicked, spat on, and insulted the whole way back to your God. You should be okay with it. Because the interesting part is if when God comes for your rescue, and God is going to avenge you. These individuals, they have many opportunities to hurt you, but they don't have an opportunity to run away when the Lord, who is going to defend the believers, comes. And if he does any event in front of them now, they're going to regret their whole life and the fact that they've made absolutely no decision for their hereafter other than putting themselves in hell. So persevering, being patient, and letting things run out their due course, other than if there is something that you can do which is pious or righteous, then you just wait till your Lord's command comes. And with that said, I truly hope you guys are enjoying these. All praise to our Lord, the Lord of the worlds, and peace be upon you.